Hi everybody, and welcome to our second virtual colorist meetup. I can see already lots of people joining in. Michael, very good, Michael. Good to see you. Then we have somebody from Rio de Janeiro. So nice. Michael Stone from Utah. Just keep coming in. Oh my God, Gray is with us. Gray, I miss you. I still really miss you. We need to connect, man. We haven't been in touch because of this. I would love to hear what you're up to. God, then, guys, you're just. Oh, Josh Pitok is here. Hey, Josh. Josh was my very first guest ever. He was the first colorist meetup guest we ever had. Thank you, Josh, for being still with us. Then we have a Sam from Burbank, Valeria. Oh my God, Jasper. Hello, Jasper. Good to see you as well. Isabel from Paris. Isabel, you were with us last time, so good to see you again. Hello, Isabel. Fantastic, fantastic. So we're going to be like a busy. I don't think I'm going to have a time to read everybody's name right now because I think we're about 700 people registered, and you guys are coming in very, very fast. We are 187 right now, but please keep it coming. I want to see everybody who's joining in. Before I start, I want to just thank, first of all, to Abel Cine. They have been supporting us since the beginning, and they have been really helping us to promote this event. So thumbs up, Abel Cine, for everything you're doing for the colorist community. I want to thank especially to Frame.io because not only have they, helped us create this amazing event, but also they were generous enough to give 5 of enterprise Frame.io licenses, which is absolutely fantastic. And also Jeff Holm has managed to swing some sort of interesting trial for you guys. I don't want to say anything too quickly. I want you first to see what he's doing, and then you'll see what trial you're going to be able to get. And also I want to thank Ivana from Color Training for letting us have 5 online courses, Fundamentals of Digital Color Processing, which is available on Color Training Online. So good to basically be able to help you, make your staying at home more interesting. And now I'm going to go to our guests. So here we go, everybody. I want to just say hi to everybody who's now with us here. So let's go. I'm going to start with the Jay-Z. Jay-Z, hi, how are you doing?
I'm fine. Thank you, Dado. Fun event. Yeah. Finally to see some other humans. Yes.
Jay-Z, you're at home as well, I understand. Where are you now?
It's in the valley. It's called Lake Balboa, where the 405 and the 101 are crossing, like somewhere close to Los Angeles.
Oh, very good. And how are you coping with your kind of, quarantine? I believe you came from Germany a few weeks ago and you had to self-quarantine, isn't it?
Yes, my self-quarantine was over on Monday. I was for 2 weeks in self-quarantine. I went out, bought lots of toilet paper, and now I'm ready for the next quarantine. Yeah.
JC, I just want to tell you, you have a lots of people saying hi, primarily female, like Iris Wu and Rachel Ford. They're saying hi to you over on YouTube. So just want to maybe say and greet all of your fans that have, tuned in. So JZ, it's now your time.
Hello. Good to see everybody. Yeah, so this is how I look in a big picture. Good. So today
Excellent.
I want to talk about our project we did recently for the HPA, the Hollywood Professional Association. We were in Palm Springs like every year for 25 years. So this year was our 25-year anniversary, and we tried to do something special this year. Normally, technologists from all over the world meet there and talk about technology. It often ends up in showing PowerPoint presentation from the morning to the afternoon. Very exciting, of course, if you're into such things. But we tried to do something different this year and wanted to do a movie production. So we just lined up everybody who ever won an HPA award because they were chosen already by the community of Hollywood for being worthy of being listened to, and people wanted to know what they are really doing. So we made a virtual movie production. While the production, of course, is real, but the post-production is virtual. And I want to show a couple of images to the group here to get us into the mood. If you all see this eFilm test picture, just take care that you do see 13 bars there. So 0 and 64 should show a difference, and 1023 and 940 should show a difference, and the step width between these bars should be equal. This means you are set up for a gamma of 2.4, as
Would
good
you have
as you can do.
Sorry, would you guys have expected that JC is going to start his presentation any other way with us having to calibrate our screen first? I mean,
Exactly.
Thank you, JC.
Show us some respect and watch our footage in the right way. Also, if you don't see certain steps, then you have a head to full issue or legal to extended range issue. So this is now a picture of the workflow we did. You see 3 groups there from left to the right. On the left side, we see our Hollywood leg, where we pre-shot a couple of shots. In the middle, you see the live production of what we did in Palm Springs. And at the end of the day in Palm Springs, at the end of the day of the 18th of February, then we did show our movie. So we wanted to film in the morning, post-produce in the afternoon, do everything in the cloud. As much as possible, but as in a good cooking show, we were allowed to pre-shoot some scenes in Hollywood already. And what could be better than shooting at the ASC Clubhouse? So that's our square in front of the ASC Clubhouse on Orange Drive. We had an amazing crew there on set. We had Stephen Shaw, our director, ASC and DGA. We had Roy Wagner, ASC, our DP. Peter Moss, ASC, and ACS was our camera operator. And Sam Nicholson then brought in his virtual production stage. So Sam Nicholson, ASC, became our VFX consultant, so to say. So, and the beauty is, if you have so many ASC members there, you have a lot of equipment to play with. So it was amazing how well our Hollywood community did support us with gear and equipment. Of course, there was no commercial background there. There you see, or no commercial idea behind. There you see, we do a little green screen while we work on the virtual production stage, what is a green screen replacement, but we also did green screen shots there because we just wanted to do a bit of everything what we do in Hollywood here and today. So we went through the whole toolbox there, and let me just silence this. We filmed indoor and out there. There you see Festmeister Hans and Heidi. Since it has to be funny, somebody has to wear lederhosen, of course. So we had to do this as well. Let me go. Yeah, so I also became the writer, director, and producer for some reason. And guess what I'm thinking?
That's where the lederhosen comes from, I say. I see.
Exactly. Cannot be done without lederhosen and yodeling. Yeah, so there you see Peter and Roy, the Panavision camera there with the 600 foot magazine was only prop there. There you see the DXL camera of Panavision. So what we then also did is we send everything into the cloud right away. So Frame.io will be part of the production later as well. Let me go to some of these shots there, perhaps take the audio off. We had a direct to cloud connection there, so we could see what was happening on an iPad, on an iPhone, or anywhere in the world. Everybody who had the rights to see what we are doing could see right away what's happening. So that's now our second day. We filmed at Jameson's on Hollywood Boulevard. That's actually our HBA clubhouse, the Hollywood Beer Alliance. And there we watch our instant dailies. There you see Michael Cioni, Stephen Shaw, Roy, our DP, and Peter, our camera operator. And we then, by watching this instant dailies, found out that one shot was missing to tell the story. So there you see how shocked our director is that we forgot that one shot. But instantly, somebody did dig out a piece of green cloth, what we call green screen, and we then reset the scene, which we forgot the day before, and then just recorded her wording and her surprise there, and could key it in no time using the Resolve and its new VFX plugin. So this was then, we could virtually go back to the ASC Clubhouse and get this shot done. We had a very light camera gear of Blackmagic there, the 6K pocket camera, and did some run and gun shots. The beauty was that on the same day, there was a Star Wars premiere on the other side of the Hollywood Boulevard. So nobody was on our side of the Hollywood Boulevard. So we could film there for 3 hours and nobody did bother us. Of course, it is a bit naughty if you do this, but we just needed a Hollywood shot. And it was for education, not for a commercial purpose. So we quickly could get this shot done. Here is a slide now showing a little bit of the workflow. We wanted to do everything in ACES, so the Academy Color Encoding System, which works in the OSD, our dailies, or our color-corrected daily system. We had the instant daily system of Frame.io, where when the camera button triggers record, audio and image went into the cloud, synced itself automatically and was available. But we also had a second path where a colorist QC'd every frame and pixel and did a color correction on it using ColorFront's OSD, which then delivered editorial deliverables for the Evid, which we had in the Microsoft Cloud. So Michael used Final Cut Pro to do trailers and instant dailies, and ColorFront and Evid did color-corrected QC dailies for our shot. Another day, we went to Lux Machina. They have a virtual production stage downtown LA where we have 4 walls, background, left, right, and ceiling. And we can do, we can transform ourselves nearly like in a Halo deck into another world. More and more movies are using this type of technology. If you search the net for it, you find a lot of information about it, but we found it really interesting to use it ourselves there. We wanted to play a scene like The Sound of Music, where a lady in a fancy dirndl dances around the grassland. So we looked around different background plates. So you can download already from the Unreal Engine. You can download different background plates already and can zoom in, zoom out, dive around. And we did go for this forest scene. We wanted to have a beer garden in the forest scene there. The beauty of this type of scenario is here you see actually that the light moves on the LED. So the LED, which is used to generate a picture, the big TV set, is also used for generating lighting here. So we have unlimited numbers of lights available, which then can influence the look of the picture from any angle there. So we have instant lighting. The beauty is we had only 1.5 hours in this sound stage. So everybody came in. There you see Roy Wagner looking at his hand. He knows his hand very well. So he calls himself a lighting DP. So he decides the warmth, the coolness of the light by looking at his own skin tone and sets the lighting like this, while we in the background used waveform monitors, light meters as well. and took care that our levels were right. So there was always the discussion with Roy, how is my signal, how is it doing? We looked at the raw, we looked at the LUTed image. The LUT came from the ODT of ACES. We used the Rec 709 ODT on set. And but Roy had mainly his eye and the visual gave him the right, made him to pick the right decision for the lighting condition. Perhaps I want to zoom forward here. We have scenes where the whole
yeah, now the part is interesting when you actually go to the Hollywood Post Alliance event itself. You know, that was very, very interesting.
Yeah, exactly. And this will be the next image. I will show this as well. I just want to show this scene here where the whole room moves around. Yeah, you see the concept here. The beauty is that the lighting, the room is used for lighting, the LEDs are used for lighting, and the reflections in our German beer glasses are right away. So nobody is complaining about blue spill or green spill. It is right there where we want to be. Yeah, the picture. And
okay,
you always see
JZ, just to interrupt you very quickly, I wanted to let everybody know that actually, and correct me if I'm wrong, because this is what you told me prior to the meetup, is that this footage is open sourced. Is this correct?
Oh yeah, our HPA footage is open source for, there you see the room moving around. So people who sit in the room really get dizzy when the room starts moving here. And what we shot there at the HPA, the whole Hollywood community was part of it. And we want this footage to be used for educational purposes as well. We shot with the 8K cameras of Red and Panavision. We shot with the 4K camera. It's a shame that you cannot listen to my yodel here, but
no, not the reason.
so
The
we
reason
have.
I'm the reason why I'm saying this is because, you know, somebody's maybe wondering, hey, how can we actually, you know, see a better quality, because the frame rate is very low since we are like a streaming, you know, and desktop sharing. But you know, you can actually get the full blown raw material. You know, once you make it available, we're going to be able to use it for our own tests. Is this correct?
Yes, we also gonna do a full-blown HPA event at the 2nd of April. Look at hpaonline.com. So that's our next event where we deep dive into this project as well. Is actually Walter Vialetto is doing the DI color correction in the cloud at the moment. So he's also at home. He has his Resolve at home. And in the same way how Michael later will explain together with Jeff how the Resolve works, we work on the DI at the moment. So we are not even finished at the moment. We work on it at the moment.
But let us now go into the event in the desert, because that is really like a, you know, driving everything home, since you are using an incredibly interesting technology for remote workflow and collaboration. So this is really, like, I think what our audience is going to be mostly interested in. How exactly have you done technically the last part where you've literally finished everything on the day?
Exactly. So we didn't want to make it too fake. So we also wanted to film in Palm Springs. So Sam Nicholson brought his Stargate setup here. It's actually a train trailer, which we did build on top of a stage. There were 600 people in a big conference room. And what you see now is the stage here. We had cameras on the dolly. We had handheld cameras. And different camera angles, different types of movements there. While the audience of 600 people is in the room, every camera has a GPS tracking device, which again goes into the Unreal Engine. The Unreal Engine then projects these images behind the window. So behind each window of the train trailer is a monitor. And the monitor follows the move of the hero camera. So there you have to take care that if you have multiple cameras, that the camera which is in use at the moment is delegating how the background image works here. So while the foreground is real, again, with a lot of reflecting glasses, we had night shots and day shots. When the camera moves up to the ceiling and tilts down, you actually see the train track or the grass or the ground. And if the camera operator goes onto their knees and looks up, you see the sky. So there you see Sam Nicholson explaining the system. You see also a big screen on the left side. So since this was a very big conference room, we had very big screens on the left and on the right side, which did show the witness camera. And there Sam explains a little bit how everything works. So the lighting in the room, there are these KinoFlow lights. No, not KinoFlow, they are, yeah, KinoFlow lights. So the LED lighting and the room lighting of the desk lamps and everything is computer controlled by the game engine. So when the outside scenery on the windows changes its light condition, the room as well changes its light conditions. So it all becomes very interactive and very controlled. So it's instant VFX shots, so to say. So this was our stage there. Let's see, perhaps I'm gonna show a shot where we see the big room and the audience as well. That's actually here a nice shot. There you see Roy Wagner with his handheld lighting adapting. On the left side, you see the wireless transmitter actually of the camera. And now when the train starts moving, there you see, we never actually during my presentation here and now see the real output of the camera. Canon sponsored the witness camera. So that's all witness cameras which we see at the moment. So you still want to see the real movie on the 2nd of April on our next web show with the HPA. But there you see the concept now, how the background is moving and the actors work in the foreground. But perhaps now I give you a deep dive on the technology.
Yes, this is interesting. Let's see who everybody was involved in that, because I think it's important for us to really see what's out there. And I think you really went into it. Jay-Z, I think you really covered every angle of, like, working set, remote audio mixing, grading and editing was all done remotely. Even visual effects were done in the cloud. So please just take us a little bit through that.
So what you also see now in the center of the image, we had local storage. So Dell EMC Isilon, this was our fallback emergency local storage, but you see clouds behind. And for this slide, I also want to put 2 clouds out there. The truth is there's not only one cloud out there. We had actually the Microsoft cloud, Azure for the Avid, and had the Amazon AWS cloud for Frame.io, ColorFront, for Nuke, for many other tools. And then inside of the Amazon cloud, there are the S3 buckets as well. And you need something, I don't know what the word is, but it could be that you need a cloud manager, a data manager who arranges everything for you so that you have the right cloud connections. Of course, security is very important for us. It was shocking how unsecure our project was, because we said security comes at the end. The footage is open source. We don't care about it as well, but the system is just hardwired in a very secure way. So the first 2 days were a mess, I had to say. And the 3rd day was so smooth. So it was like a real production. Normally a whole week of 100 days production would be a mess, but we had a lot of support from Amazon. Jack Winsinger and his team did help us immense. We had SohoNet doing the connection for us. And also convincing the hotel. We were at the normal golf course type of hotel in Palm Springs. And of course, they didn't have the network ready for us. So we had to do some wiring, and it was amazingly expensive to get the last mile done. But we all did plea on the educational part of it, and that there's no money making behind it. So at the end, it worked all out. We also said we must not have just one color corrector. It must be 2 or 3, must not be one editor, must be 2 or 3 or 4, so that we have the whole community involved. So on the left side here, you see the 2 cameras we used. We had an Alexa Mini there, we had a Red Monstro, and we had a Canon for archiving. We used then Pomfort Silver Stack IO. Patrick helped us as a DIT to get the data involved. So we had metadata management from the new ASC, the ASC data management we used. We worked with AMF, the ACES meta file, which we used as well. Baselight was our on-set color corrector. So Baselight was there wired to the camera. Then we had our wireless transmitters. The GPS went to the Unreal Engine to have the Stargate system working well. And we had our TerraDeck wireless transmitters used for Frame.io for instant dailies. The magazines, again, went to the local ColorFront system, but the wireless instant dailies went to Frame.io. We had a Nuke operator in the cloud, so Nuke can be in the cloud as well. Nuke actually used the metadata of the Zeiss lenses to do the lens distortion, so that the background plate and the foreground plate had the same even lines, could be composed and could be distorted after. So this was also interesting. Normally on a very VFX heavy show, I know the name of every lens because we shoot a lens grid for every lens. This time I did not even know which lenses were used because the metadata did travel with the Sony Venice RAW file or with the red 3D file, and the Nuke used it right away to do the lens distortion. So this was an amazing way of speeding up the process and having less headache to deal with. Then on the upper line, on the right side, since it is a colorist meeting, you recognize the Baselight color correction panel there. We did Baselight and clear view. Or let's start. We had a lossless compression algorithm from Pixel.
It's PixSpan, isn't it? PixSpan.
PixSpan. Too many pixels in an image. Yeah.
Yes.
So PixSpan did a lossless compression of our data on set, did pipe the raw data to the Hollywood remote color correction session. The Baselight uses the PixSpan compressed files without compressing it before. It goes right into the Baselight. The Baselight then had the raw footage available on the screen and did pipe the signal via SohoNet Clearview back to us to Palm Springs, where we had the 2 big projectors. Panasonic, actually, we didn't use the Panasonic camera, but we had 2 Panasonic laser projection systems. They gave us 400 nits in the room since there was ambient lighting, so we wanted to go a bit higher. It's a kind of a non-standard nit level, 400 nits, but it was impressive to have these 2 projectors there. And we saw the uncompressed image color correcting from Hollywood to Palm Springs. So all 600 people in the room became directors or witnesses and could tell Andrea what she should do for the image. This was our remote collaboration for color. The finishing then was there with a local resolve in Palm Springs. So an amazing work also was done by the Skywalker Sound on the Skywalker Ranch. So the audio went to Skywalker Sound. We then did a little quiz. Skywalker Sound got the raw data, did pipe the signal back to us with a Streambox. And we had different sound effects. They played different sound effects, and the audience in the room could vote which sound effect should be used. And then they mixed it into the 5.1, 7.1, and stereo mix for us. So this was the interactive audio session we did. While for audio, of course, you need the room.
Sorry to interrupt. So basically, let me just recap what is happening here. So first of all, you have a technology to compress ARRI raw, and that compression technology is working seamlessly inside the baselight, and baselight was able to grade and send an uncompressed signal back to Palm Springs from the base to where they were. So that and this is a new thing, you know. You told me it's called the PixSpan. And what was this company we used? The Streambox, isn't it? That was what we used in the past, Streambox. So it's like
Streambox was used by the Skywalker sound team to get the image across. For the basslight, we used the SohoNet Clearview system.
Clearview. Okay.
Yeah, you want to Google SohoNet Clearview to learn more about it. And so this was this system. As I said, we wanted to use not only one, we wanted to use everyone out there, because we don't want to have
I totally love it. Now, also, you told me that you used the Teradici, and I think this is something that, where did you employ it for visual effects workstation? And where was Teradici used?
Oh, yes. So Teradici was actually under the hood for the Avid to cloud workflow. So Avid uses Teradici to goes into the Azure cloud of Microsoft.
So your workstations, your Avid workstations are in Azure cloud, and you are controlling those workstations via Teradici. Or you're viewing.
Exactly.
Okay. And what was the company called Bebop? What was their involvement?
Oh yeah, so Bebop actually worked together with Adobe. They did the end credits for us. So Bebop and Adobe as a combination did edit the blooper reel and then had the end credits on top of it. Yeah.
Fantastic.
What was amazing.
Say again. Go ahead.
To do the end credits gave me the biggest headache. Everybody can imagine that this was not a real movie. This was just a technology concept, but the headache I had to get of getting everybody's credit right in the end reel, it's amazing. There are so many opinions.
I get it. And then hang on a moment, there was also a company called, is it Nevion?
Nevion is a streaming service as well. They started as TVIPs and they are now called Nevion. Yeah. So these are boxes, these are hardware boxes which you install on both sides. It is a transmitter and a receiver. Yeah. And we also use, for high quality transfer, that's very good. And to share the GUI, we just used BlueJeans. But we could use, as we do now, we use Zoom at the moment. So there are a lot of vendors at the moment out there. But we did choose BlueJeans to share GUIs if GUIs needed to be shown. But
Excellent.
For the high quality
signals, so these are these things like a Clearview, Streambox, and Nevion. These are like tools that you want to use if you want to send SDI signal remotely, so that you definitely have an SDI monitor on the other side. So even if you're working remotely, you're able to do it. But one thing that I think, somehow didn't necessarily come across yet, which I think it's the highlight of all of this concept that you did right now, was the fact that you were able to go directly from camera into the cloud, and you also had instant dailies on set. So can you please help me understand how and what happened there?
Yeah, I don't know if Michael will talk about it as well, or Patrick together, but what happened to us there is we didn't know what's coming. We just asked all the players if they want to be part of it. Many people are members of the HPA, the Hollywood Professional Association, and we just ask everybody if they want to be part of it. Michael and Frame.io were like one of the first ones who accepted to be with us, and we didn't really understand what they offer. it sounded to me they offer something what we don't really need. We didn't ever hear about it, but it was a wireless transmitter on the camera.
So maybe we can go now to Michael. So do you want to just maybe stop your screen sharing quickly for us, JZ? And let's see, Michael has just come online. So we can go quickly to Michael.
Yes. I just want to tell the other story about Boris FX as well.
Oh, please go ahead. Sorry.
So there was an editor, our editor who was also remote editing, Tim from Sim Digital. We needed one shot where we needed to burn in Terminal 1 into one of our pictures. And he said, I know a friend, Mary, with Boris FX. She can do this. Let's call her. And our show was on Tuesday. I called her on Friday, explained what we are doing. And she said, yes, we are on board of it. I sent her the password of the Frame.io S3 bucket. She did download the image, fixed the images for us, did rotoscoping and everything, and sent it back to us in no time. It was amazing work there as well. So there I said Frame.io again, so I shall now give Michael the chance to do something.
So Michael, before you start, can you please allow me just to do a little introduction? I'm sure most people know you, but just for those who have not necessarily had the opportunity to meet you, I want to say that Michael is definitely like a full-time futurist and then everything else. I mean, he probably has been, putting himself as innovation and all of this. But I have to say that I have been following Michael's crystal ball for many years. He has not only been right most of the times, but also has had the courage to stand in front of post-production industry and tell them, guys, things are changing and you're doing things wrong, you're doing them right now, and almost initiate the change in that way. We know that our industry is not necessarily willing to change. We always want to keep things the way they're going, and yet we have to adapt. And Michael was one who has really been at the forefront of every change from tapeless to file sharing, and I'm so happy to see him now joining the Frame.io, and I can't wait to see what's happening and what he's going to do with them. This is just going to be such a promising partnership. So Michael, over to you. Let us know, what exactly are you cooking at the Frame.io at the moment?
Well, thanks for the introduction, and I should also introduce Patrick, who's here with me, and then we'll get to Jeff in a few minutes. But JZ did a great job summarizing what we accomplished. And I think the last thing that he said there was really powerful. He said that when we started talking in November, and I said, hey, JZ, we got this new thing. It's camera to cloud. We should put it on there. JZ's recollection of that was, that sounds like something we don't need. And that's so great, because that's how everything that's great starts. Everything that we've ever adopted starts with the phrase, I don't know if I need this. That's perfect, right? Perfect. So I think that's a perfect segue into what we do here. So let me share my screen so we can go over some concepts here. And yeah, so here we go. So I introduced Patrick. We'll get to him in a second, and Jeff in a little bit. But what we want to do today now is transition to what we actually did on the HPA Tech Retreat, Lederhosen film, and then also how does it apply to cloud color? JZ earns, you said I'm a futurist. That's very kind of you to say that, Dario, but I have to say JZ had the best premonition, because when he and the HPA decided to spend the entire super session on the cloud, they couldn't have known what was going to happen just a few weeks later. And so the idea that they picked that and they realized it was right on schedule. So the things that we're going to talk about today are right on schedule for everyone. The first thing that I think is important is that we have to understand to get our minds in the right state of mind. See, we came from this place where there was an oral era. Everything in the world was done orally. And then that was for a long time. Then it transitioned to the analog era, where people started writing things down and drawing and things like that. And then it went into the digital era. And the problem is, if you think the cloud is the digital era, I think you're making a mistake, because the digital era is its own thing, but the cloud is its own thing. And this is a different approach. And even though the cloud uses digital technology to encode files, the way in which they behave is different. And so we need to start thinking about a new era of things, not just that digital is digital, and if it's cloud or if it's local, it's the same. It's like, that's not true. So start thinking about the cloud era as like a cataclysmic change. This little guy on the edge of the cliff there, that's us. And if you feel like you're about to go off a cliff because of this cloud thing, that's normal. That's correct. That's how I feel too. Everybody's in the same boat. We're about to go over a cliff. But every time we do that, it tends to work. You know, what's kind of interesting is if you're paying attention to something that's happening outside of the exact coronavirus stories, there's a lot of information going around about working from home. And that's why we're on this today. And so thanks to Color Lab for inviting us and for putting these on. But there's something really interesting, because if you are like many people, working from home feels good. See, I think a lot of us, when we thought we had to work from home, we would freak out. We'd be like, oh my gosh, I can't do my job. This will never happen. But we've only been in this for a week, and people are so efficient. And there's actually a lot of articles and surveys coming out. What's it like to work from home? How are you feeling working from home? What is the result of your efficiency working from home? And they're good. I'm super efficient. I feel great. And I think the question people are going to start asking is, why do we go to work? Why do we actually physically move into these buildings and go to these spaces when we don't really have to? What is actually the advantage of going into work? Now, there are certainly groups where you have to do that. There are certain, like factories and assemblies and a lot of reasons there's good opportunity to be together. But not every job that goes into work needs to be at work. A lot of remote colorists fall into that camp because they're anywhere and they're understanding this process. This might sound pretty sophomoric to you, but most of the elite colorist world works in a facility, and the elite post-production and editorial world works in a facility, and they don't have to. And we're learning for the first time that things are going to change. And so I predict, Otto, if you want a prediction, you can check me in 2 years, 3 years, but I believe that this is the beginning of where the post house is going to transition into the remote house. When we come back from this, not everyone is going to be there. Yeah.
You see, listen, so sorry to interrupt. I have to say that, I have felt always that this is probably going to happen because, we've seen it happen, for example, with web design. I mean, I don't know anybody who employs web designer and gets them to come to their office. I mean, these people work completely remotely. I think what was stopping post-production is really how to deal with this massive amount of data that we really need for our work, and which is why we had to go and, sometimes carry physical drives and travel and do stuff and go on client site and all of that. And I totally think that from the practical point, we're going to stay home. But I have to tell you something, it does take some adjusting. Like I'm now at home like you, but I have days when I'm so happy I'm at home, but I have days where I'm so depressed because I'm at home. So I think one thing I do miss is a little bit of interaction, which is one of the reasons why I was so keen that we continue doing these events, so we kind of feel a little bit, I at least feel less worried and less thinking about the virus and everything when I'm on this event. And so I think maybe there is still going to be parts of us that are going to have to connect in more meaningful way. But I agree that the moment we can manage data, we're going remote.
While when we are at Able Scene, we always get a beer during the event.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm not trying to argue that we're going to not need human interaction. The point is that we don't physically have to be in the same spaces to do our jobs. And I saw a lot of memes, as you probably did over last week, where editors and colorists spend their day working in a room with no windows. So like, it's all pretty familiar when they don't get to interact with people because they get locked in a room to get the job done. So but I think we're going to learn from this, and it's going to take some time. And you might be thinking, well, it's been kind of a rocky start. Well, we're only a week into it. So, you know, it's going to get a lot better. And what Jay-Z and the team accomplished at HPA worked. We physically made a 4K. We actually did it in 8K because we could. We did an 8K movie in a hotel because we could. And the technology is there. What I'm going to show you in a few minutes, I've been trying to build for 9 years. And it just hasn't been physically possible. And I've tried these iterations and we've tried to make it work. And it just didn't work till now. And it's right on schedule. So essentially, we all have gone through this transfer before. And when we talk about the cloud era, someone's going to say, you know, oh, this is going to be so different. This is too hard. This is not what we want. And it's like, well, the transition from film to analog to tape to digital to raw files, all of these problems happened and we got through them all. So it's okay that this is going to be tough to go to the cloud because we've had to go through these challenges in the past. And that's kind of familiar. But the only major point that I want to highlight is this concept of security, because everybody's concerned about security, and that's a great thing to be concerned about. However, a lot of people have not done the homework. In fact, I would argue most people, the overwhelming majority of people, are not cybersecurity experts. And so sometimes we just talk flippantly about security because we don't quite understand it. There's a lot of people in high-ranking positions that don't fully understand the level of security. And so what they might just assume is things aren't secure. But if you study for the test and you do the homework on that, you're going to change the narrative, because the question that people ask, is the cloud secure, is the wrong question. The question people should actually be asking is, am I using the cloud securely? And that's going to require you to do some testing and do some evaluation and sort of practice and do some research. And we won't go into those details right here, but the answers are out there, and the opportunity for cybersecurity is a great role in lots of companies. We need cybersecurity experts to be hired and usher us through this and make sure that our material is safe.
The problem is just that the post-production companies today cannot charge for cybersecurity. You know, it's a massive expense. I hired some people in order to get my cloud system certified, and they charge more than lawyers at $600 at 50 minutes increments, yet I was never able to charge anybody for that because it was supposed to be absorbed cost. So I think, you know, the business model of post-production is also going to have to change, where post facilities will have to charge, amongst other things, for the security that they build for their clients.
Yeah, it's true. And there is a lot of things that are going to have to shift and level out. And when something's brand new, everybody overcharges for it because it's a rare commodity. Once it becomes more commoditized, the price comes down, the experts go up. And everyone, 10 years ago, very few people were experts in certain areas of drive management or disk management or file management or TCP/IP. Now a lot of people are comfortable with those, those words and things like that. So over time, we'll get better. So we're now switching from this physical data to virtual data. And what we did on the Lost Lederhosen is 3 major things that were really net new accomplishments. And these were things that myself and the talent and the engineering team at Frame.io have been working on. And essentially, we have our camera to cloud proof of concept. So we're trying to move camera material right to the cloud, and then getting that right to editors, and then getting that right to colorists. And instead of me showing you any slides about this, we just want to do it. And so our objective today is to demonstrate how this works instead of show slides. And so I want to just describe briefly how this works, and then we'll actually physically do it. When you look at your workflows usually look something like this. You have your camera and audio, you have your downloading, you're going to ship that material over the oceans when you're shooting in one place versus the other. It's going to go to a post house, it gets to an editor, it gets to color, and then you archive it. What we're talking about with camera to cloud is not replacing original camera files or original camera negative. We're talking about moving the work print or moving the editorial proxy faster to the creative people so we don't have to wait. Essentially, we have a tool that connects to the camera and is able to publish the camera files with separate sound, so it's audio and video separately, publishing directly to the Frame.io cloud. And then, for example, one of our partners is Colorfront. And so the material that's being captured by the cloud instantly populates in ColorFront. So post houses can still receive the data as it's being shot right in a ColorFront terminal. They can do the color, the CDL, the LUTs, they can do the window burn, the watermark, the masking, and then they can publish that to editorial or color as they normally would. They just don't have to wait for download and shipping to get started. Some people will take this even a step further, which the camera can deliver right to editorial. And that's what we're going to demonstrate to you in just a moment. If we go right to editorial, we're skipping the download, the shipping, and we can, people that don't do dailies, like people that don't do dailies would be like sports or news or maybe reality television or documentary. A lot of times those groups don't shoot dailies, so they can just go right to the cutting room if they want. And from there, that gets published right to the colorist. And so we can do a transfer. So we call this essentially a hybrid workflow. And the reason it's a hybrid workflow, it's part cloud. We have these assets working with the cloud, but not everybody wants to be working in the cloud for everything. People have concerns about latency, frame rates, speed, quality. If those are concerns and those are issues, then the hybrid workflow allows you to still work and render locally, but move the data through the cloud efficiently. And that's what we're going to demonstrate here. And so, as I said, instead of showing any more slides, we actually want to try to demonstrate this. And we're going to actually shoot and edit and conform and color. And we're going to travel these assets all together. So if I stop sharing my screen for a second, you can see me right here. So what I'm going to do is show you this. So if you see, if you see this, I've got a camera right here. I've got a wireless red helium right here. And so if I roll a take, this is happening right now. It's happening in real time. So there I'm rolling the take. Here we are, we're shooting it. And then I'm going to cut this take. And essentially that clip by itself is going to stream right to Frame.io and make itself in the cloud. So in order to prove that out, what we're going to end up doing is go to Patrick. Patrick is our editor. He's not here with me. He's in his house. So I'm going to turn over to Patrick to share his screen, and we're going to deliver our dailies to the editor.
Hey, so here I am on my desktop. Here inside of Final Cut, I actually have a Frame.io panel. And in this Frame.io panel, I have the shots. Michael has been surreptitiously getting shots throughout the entire event. And what I can do is I can actually just select these shots, right-click, import them, and it will download these straight from the cloud. So these are coming from the cloud locally to my machine, so that while I'm working inside of Final Cut, I'll have a local copy that has very little to no latency, right? Because as we know, when we're working off of our own machines, working off of local hard drives, specifically SSD, we're going to have very, very low latency. So I'm going to make these clips, we'll say like 2 seconds long, and maybe we'll do just a little bit of trimming. And oh, by the way, Michael did shoot a shot just a second ago. Here, let me see if I can find that shot.
I don't think it's in there right now, Patrick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But the stuff I shot when Dario and Jay-Z were talking, we got all that delivered to you.
That's right. So we've got all these clips of Dario and Jay-Z.
Unbelievable.
There he is talking just a few seconds ago.
Patrick, I have a very few interesting questions. Sorry to interrupt you. I just want to get audience involved a little bit because everybody's getting excited about this demo and I just don't want to miss these questions. So the first question is for Michael. Michael, is this Teradek to Frame.io solution available at the moment if people want to use it?
Absolutely not. Not even close.
Okay, fine.
But,
so then
this is a technology preview of a proof of concept that we're building, and we're just on the building phase.
Okay, we are really honored that you are doing it live and demoing live because we know what it's like to work with a preview technology. So thank you, Michael, for doing that. And also another question is for you as well, Michael. Michael, do you think that proxy is the kind of solution for cloud-based workflow?
Today with a 4G LTE network, yes, because in a 4G world, we can use HEVC as a codec, which can be 10-bit log, and it can be 4K, and we can do that at sub 10 megabits per second in codes. And if we're dealing with 4G, that's real time or better transmission. Once we get to 5G, we can do 4K 20 megabit, and that's going to look much better than anything coming out of like, it's going to look like a ProRes file as an HEVC 10-bit 20 megabit file. So proxy is absolutely the way to go. And in 1 or 2 cycles of cameras. So the cameras that are out right now, there's 1 or 2 more cycles of cameras from now. They will all have 5G modems in them. Every camera will start shipping with a modem, and it'll just start shooting right to the cloud. By the year 2026, we will not have magazines to shoot on anymore. Every camera will just shoot right to the cloud, and the magazine in the camera will be the backup, the safety, but it will not get downloaded or shipped or transferred. It'll just become a backup until people stop shooting to magazines at all. Just like when we transitioned from tape to files, people shot a lot of tape and they were afraid about files, and they would make their red files laid off to HD cam tape to be safe. And then one day they just stopped, you know, and they said, you know what? I trust the hard drives. It's fine. And that will happen with cloud camera capture.
I love that comparison, because you know, I can't believe that we were doing that, but actually we were. It was a tsunami that finally got people to stop backing up. It wasn't really security. It was just that there was no more tapes and they had to stop.
And that's what coronavirus is. It's the exact same thing.
Yes. Michael, one more question. How accurate is time code between the proxies from Teradek versus the original row? There is a question on the thread. Perfect?
Yeah, it's perfect. Yeah, the time code, the file name, and all the metadata inside of an SDI. So there you can see we've got our time code and our file name, so that we can link this back to raw files in 2 days or in 200 days. It doesn't matter, but we can backfill to raw files later. If people are concerned this file was not generated out of a raw file, that can be a concern. So you could render raw files to dailies and relink them, or over time, people will just learn to trust proxies and they'll just work with them until the conform at the end.
Thank you, Michael. That's fantastic. Back to you, Patrick. Sorry for interruption. We just had to get a few questions out.
Oh yeah, no worries. Yeah, so I've got my timeline here. I do have the ability, if I wanted to in the edit, I can apply the LUT that was used on set, right? So all of my footage, because I was working with log proxy footage, I am able to retain, you know, the full dynamic range of the footage and be able to see in the edit with the intended color. And then once I've got my edit done, you know, I've swapped around some of the clips, and we'll just swap 1 or 2 more around. I can export an XML to send to Jeff. Now, before I do that, Jeff and I are not in the same building because of social distancing, nor are we even in the same city. So I need to go from local back up to the cloud. So I'm going to export my XML momentarily using a watch folder inside of Frame.io. So if you can see here at the top, I've got a watch folder set up. It's basically on my desktop, and it's going to upload to Frame.io to the Colorist Meetup Live folder for Jeff. So all I'm going to have to do on my side is export my XML, make sure that it's going to the proper footage, to the proper folder. So we'll say Colorist Meetup for Jeff, and I hit save, and then Frame.io will upload that file to Jeff, and Jeff should be able to then do a conform on his side. So that
now it's awesome. Thank you, Patrick. So now we want to switch to Jeff's screen, because we've taken our camera data that we shot while sitting here at the show. We've edited that. We delivered it from the cloud to Patrick to edit. He did an edit, time code accurate. Now we can go to Jeff's screen. And Jeff's actually working with not only is Jeff remote, but the computer he's using is also a remote computer. Tell us a little bit about that, Jeff.
Hi, everybody. So I'm sitting on a virtual machine. I have my Alienware laptop, and
But
I've
wait.
logged into.
Where are you physically right now, Jeff? We haven't covered that.
I am physically between New York and LA. I am in Wisconsin.
I love
After 35 years in Los Angeles, the guy sitting in the facility, my wife got the bright idea to move us to Wisconsin. So we bought a 22-acre farm out there, and so I am very remote, and I have been doing this since last summer. So I've been working with this company called Eclipse Technology and Eclipse Tech. And the website is eclipsetech.co, not com. But yeah, it's really been great because now I can basically be anywhere. So I'm a little bit just some of the things I can work from anywhere. I can work from Los Angeles. I can work from Wisconsin. I've worked in hotel lobbies. I've worked in airports. But what they offer is a user-friendly, cloud-based, integrated solution as a service. IT is eliminated. I have a high-performance computer that I'll show you in a minute. I can choose my hardware. If I have a job that doesn't need a lot of interactivity, I can pick what I want. The data is secure. It's all. I'm the only one that can log into this machine, and it saves time and money. So it's a really great solution for me. And now I'm going to go through and show you how I set up a machine on the Eclipse Tech platform. So there's a little sign up thing down here. And basically, if you go to the eclipsetech.co sign in thing and you enter in your information there, that'll get you all signed up. So I'm going to go in and I'm already registered. So I'll go in, and these are my virtual machines that I have. So now I'm going to take you through creating a virtual machine on the web. So here's a bunch of my instances and stuff. And my data center is actually in Ohio, is the closest one. But if I go up here and I say add workstation template, now I'll go in and I can select a data center. We have clients in Scotland. We've talked to people in Germany, and they're so I'm going to use the Ohio data center. And now I'm going to go in and choose the machine that I want. So normally I'll take something that's like 16 processors, 64 gigs of RAM, and then it has a Tesla NVIDIA card on it.
Oh,
and then I just
you're kidding me. Wait. So you got you just clicked and you said, oh, I'm going to give myself a Tesla workstation, right? I mean, Tesla, yep. NVIDIA Tesla, not a Tesla. But I love it.
Yeah. Yep. And now I'm going to go and this is called instance creation or template creation. And now I can pick whatever software I want. So I can have Maya, I can have Maya and Nuke, I can have Unreal Engine, I can have Houdini and Adobe and Maya all loaded. So I'm going to pick DaVinci Resolve. And then I'm going to say, okay, how much do I want for storage? So I'll say, I want a terabyte of storage. So it's just like going into, going into Best Buy or whatever. I'm going in, selecting my machine, and I'm picking my hardware. And now I'm just going to go through and name the template real quick. And now create instance.
Mm-hmm.
And now I can go through and look at my setup. I'm in Ohio. I've got my 16 processors. I've got my GPU cards. You can actually get multiple GPUs. Dario, I can get 4 GPUs if I want.
Not that you need it, right?
I have,
wait 1 second. So basically, then I click on that, and then I pay by minute or by hour. How do I pay for this workstation?
Yes. Yep. Yeah, you pay for what you use. You pay for only what you use, and it's only charged for the machine while it's running, and then the data is, because that's running all the time. That's also charged, by the hour.
Unbelievable.
So but it's a much less cost than for the machine.
Okay,
so now I'm just going to go.
Is this now the machine that you're going to use for grading now? So right now, you're going to grade using one of those machines. Is this correct?
Exactly. So now I'll go over to my dashboard, and then I can see that here is the Frame.io demo machine that I just created. And then I just go in and I hit there's a play button here, there's a delete, there's an edit my configuration. So I'll just go and start up that machine. So now I'll go into Resolve, and I think I probably should. Do I stop sharing my screen, or
no? You're good. You're good. So what we want to do right now is show. Go to the preferences of Resolve. So if we go to the preferences, we will see that if you go to Internet accounts in your Resolve, Frame.io is now built into Resolve. So you log into your Frame.io account, and in that account, you're able to get authentication to whatever items you're allowed to get access to. This is how Resolve is able to phone call Frame.io and know what you're allowed to do. You set your cache there, and that's where it's going to localize anything that you want to localize, because this is a hybrid workflow. So if you hit save, and we now go to the Frame.io, you can see in the upper left, Frame.io is now a drive. Actually, can you scroll up to the other drives that you have in your media pool there? Just scroll up a little bit. You can see there's several volumes that are part of Resolve there, and Frame.io just acts as a volume. And Jeff has access to the log dailies that Patrick also has access to. Now, they look offline right now, but every single time he clicks on it, this is a cloud instance. So these are all cloud files. And now if you drag them all into your media pool, we're now doing that hybrid move. We're localizing these files. So this is how we're doing that transfer from the cloud now.
Michael,
so
you just answered a question from the audience, like how to integrate, and I don't think it gets any simpler than this. I don't know of any simpler way than just basically drag and drop from the cloud and everything is still there. So thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah. So now we'll do an actual conform from Patrick's edit list. So we'll go to his XML. Oh, we didn't get the XML yet, did we yet, Jeff? Nope. So we got to go to Frame.io first.
Frame.io. Oh, I'm sorry. I did the wrong thing. He told me not to move the windows, to always use the bottom thing. So there we go, into Frame.io.
So let's find, let's see here. We're going to turnover, and that's where Patrick's XML automatically uploaded. So if we go into that folder, there's the XML that was handed off through the cloud. Download that locally. And now we can go back and Resolve and do our Resolve conform.
Import timeline, import XML. I go to downloads. I look for the latest one, which is this one. Open. I already have my data in, so I click the bring into data pool. I select everybody, and I go to reconform from bins.
Boom.
And there we go.
Two of them didn't work. I don't know why two of them didn't work, but we'll come back to that in a second.
It worked every time we did it in the past, but this is the demo.
Yeah, exactly.
We're being watched.
I don't know what that is. So
we're being watched by 548 people, so these two got scared. That's probably why. So
that's fine. Yeah. So,
yeah.
Just to clean this up, Jeff. Just to clean this up, go back to the edit timeline. And I don't want to mess with the conform right now, but just delete those two clips so that when we render an output, we're able to do that. So if you shift delete those, you can close that gap. Yeah, we'll just get rid of that for now. So now we have our log files data, so we can see that we got log transmission to this material. So we'll just add a quick grade on all this so that we can quickly do a quick output. Again, people are doing this with HEVC 10-bit files. Some people can use this as a high quality result, but the best thing to do is get the raw files. In the interest of time today, we decided to just use the camera to cloud files, but we could replace these with red code, which presumably would get shipped at some point in the process. So
But,
now we've got a
so
time.
one of the question is like, are you planning to build the XML like transfer in a similar way? How you build the media transfer inside the Frame.io? Is this something that's in the pipeline, so that we don't have to download them separately?
That's a good idea, but today, we want to keep all the. We actually want Frame.io to be that centralized repository, because you're going to have so many turnovers of lists. It's actually better to manage it in the cloud, because you're going to have hundreds, because there's going to be VFX pulls, there's going to be real changes.
So you have your bins and your folders there.
Trying to organize that in Resolve is actually really hard, because there's so many VFX turnovers. So I could explore how that might work in Resolve, but honestly, most people want to keep it outside of Resolve for the management of all those lists. But it's a good suggestion. Okay, so we've got our clips that we shot from the first half of today's webinar, and now we're going to go to a delivery. So we can go to our Deliver tab, and in Deliver tab, we have a new way to actually deliver files. So there's actually Frame.io built into your Exports tab. So if you scroll over, there's our Frame.io option here. And now we can choose any type of file that we will go to. When we browse for the actual render, we can render back to the Frame.io cloud. So Frame.io shows up as a volume, but this is a cloud volume again. And so he goes to Color Time Master, and that's where we'll send it to. So that works. And if you wanted to change your codec, or you wanted to, adjust any settings, you would do that here like you normally would. But in the interest of time, we'll just do a quick output here. So we'll add this to the queue. And what's important about this is when you see the render, let's all watch the render here. When we do the render real quick, Resolve's automatically going to switch into upload mode. So there it finished the render and it's starting to upload, and it's moved the upload really, really quickly because Jeff's computer is in the cloud. So it's not moving the file. He's got really high performance because this is like cloud to cloud, right?
Oh my God. So we just discovered an amazing new point. So the moment you work like this in the cloud, then your upload and download speeds are completely different dimension.
Totally. Jeff's pulled it locally, but it's local to a cloud instance, not to Jeff's Wisconsin property, right? So Jeff, let go of your screen and let's have Patrick take it back. We'll come back to you in a second, Jeff, but now we've got to make an adjustment here. If we go to Frame.io, here we're now at Patrick's house. So we're now 2,000 miles back on the West Coast. And here is the output, and Patrick can hit play on Jeff's output. And now we're looking at Jeff's color corrected material. And Patrick's able to start making notes. So why don't you make a note there, Patrick? I'll make a note as well.
Okay, so you both guys can review the same clip at the same time. And
same time, yeah.
Okay, I have to say that if I could get my clients to do this on the reviews and start using this kind of, keyframes and drawing on the screen would save me so much time in trying to understand what is it that they mean when they say, the shot after the guy moved the hand to the left and then the black corner in the bottom. And you're like, what is that shot? I mean, look at this. Look at this. So you basically just go and in a circle on the screen, you basically say, oh, I want this changed, that changed. Fantastic.
Yeah. So I'm making a couple of notes. Patrick's making some notes. You can see both of our notes are coming across, and I'm drawing annotations, and I'm able to kind of, do different sorts of adjustments to what we want to do. So
Jeff, you did such a bad job there. Look how many notes they got.
That's what happens when you have two people giving notes.
That's the one thing we have to block. Can we please have a feature? Only one person can give notes for color grading, please. Like, is there a feature for that?
That's the beauty. Well, that's the beauty of permissions, because you can decide who has permissions to this stuff, and you can allow people to just review but not make notes. That's all control, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So the beauty, though, the last step of this process is getting these notes back to Jeff, because if we make them all happen here, that's great, but it's not complete because Jeff needs the notes as well. So Patrick and I have made several notes here. So Patrick, why don't you let go of the screen, and then we're going to go back to Jeff's instance in Wisconsin. And if we go to Jeff's screen, now we have these markers that showed up. So why don't you move that window pane that's blocking the viewer there. And if you see all these purple markers, those are the actual notes that were made in Frame.io. And so if, Jeff, you click on one of them, you can see the note, you can see who wrote it, you can reply to that note. So why don't we just do a couple replies here and just simulate an actual response. So the colorist can go through the process and can make a response. So just hit reply to one of those.
This one's classic. He says make it warm. He says vignette. So warm with the vignette. We get two. So I basically just go in and I type reply and I say done, already done it, and yeah, and then this one I'll say no way.
So now that Jeff's made those notes there, if we look at the middle of his screen, the blue marker in the center of the screen, the blue marker tool, at the very bottom of this tool is the Frame.io marker. And that's where these notes are kept. So Frame.io is its own marker color. That's how you can track that against your other markers and keep them separate. And now release your screen, Jeff. Let's one more time go back to Patrick. And
oops. This button. Oh, there we are. Sorry.
There we go. Patrick, over to you.
Patrick can see Jeff's replies. And so Jeff's replies there. So Patrick can either like it, he can mark it as done, or he can delete. And one of the cool things is we can sort. So if you look at, there's a magnifying glass at the top of this. And if you wanted to sort by like vignette, I noticed that the vignette was listed. If you do that, a colorist or a DP or anyone can actually start sorting the notes based on hashtags. So if you hashtag vignette, it will allow you to sort by things like that. So it just makes the process quicker and easier to find things and trace this all the way through.
Sorry, Michael. Michael, there is a question from the audience. This feature you're showing, this is available now. This is no preview. You can, guys, use this already now.
That's correct. So, Patrick, you can let go of your screen. So, yes, the answer to that is what we just showed with the Resolve integration is out. And it's in sort of version 1, but it does work. Everything you saw does work today. And if you have a Frame.io account, you can integrate that into Resolve, and you can start collaborating this way and share your material on
absolutely
iPads.
Brilliant.
And
absolutely brilliant.
I want to say, while you are working on your project, Walter and I do the same what you do. So Walter Vialetto is doing the Lost Lederhosen grading in his house at the moment, and we collaborate all the time as well. So whenever I was getting bored of you telling me what I already know, I collaborate with Walter on it.
Yeah.
And you have the same, Michael, on your iPad, right? Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, so
okay. There is a question from the audience.
Stuff is available now also, and we'll be giving away a trial for EclipseTech.com.
So you're saying basically you're giving another trial as well on top of all their work.
Yes.
That's fantastic. Thank you. So this is number 11. Now I wanted to ask, there's one more question from the audience. What is the integration with Avid? Of course, we have feature film people here. They're using Avid. Michael, what's the Frame.io Avid situation?
Yeah. So we need the community's help because we have direct integrations with Final Cut and Premiere and Resolve. And we have it with several other companies like Colorfront and Slack and Vimeo and things like that. but we do not have a deep Avid integration because Avid doesn't allow that. And so we need pressure from the community to simply and nicely request and ask Avid to let companies like Frame.io develop using APIs so that we can integrate into Avid. So the reason we're not into Avid is not a technological limitation. It's an approval type of situation. And Avid is building a lot of cloud integration today. So it's really good timing for them to let us deliver. What you can do with Avid today is, I'll show one last thing. If I share my screen and I go to our output that we had for this, if I have all my notes here, I can hit download. So if you see the download,
one second.
Here,
let me move the videos. Go ahead now.
Oh, right, it's over on the right. Download for Media Composer. If I download a Media Composer, what I'm going to get is an XML, and that XML is the notes in Avid language, and you can manually import them, but it's not a direct cloud integration. It's a sidecar. You have to make the process, but this is how you can get notes in Avid.
It's still good enough. You can work like that totally. Jeff, couple of questions in regards to Eclipse. Can Eclipse be worked on from a Mac? I would imagine yes, isn't it? You basically it's a virtual?
It's browser based, so it can be Mac or Windows.
Excellent.
And, works great.
And then second question is it frame accurate that when you do playback, you get a frame accurate playback?
Yes, because you saw the machine I have with the Tesla card and things like that. So yeah, it supports 4K, dual monitors, and is frame accurate playback. Yes.
Excellent. So I think this is absolutely fantastic, guys. I cannot thank you enough for this. But now it comes the I think we're in a good place right now to do the very very important part, which I think everybody has been waiting for, which is the raffle. The way how we're going to do the raffle is following. So I'm going to ask each one of you to give me two numbers, and let me just check the exact amount of people registered. 1 second. It's here. Sorry, I prepared it already. I forgot. Between 1 and 739. So Michael, I start with you. Give me two numbers between 1 and 739.
187.
187, and the second one?
333.
Excellent. JZ, give me two numbers.
That said, Michael picked exactly my two numbers.
I was going to do 333 too.
So 635.
And the second one?
And the number 5.
And the number 5. So what did you say? The first one was 65 or 6 and 5?
635.
635.
And the number 5.
And 5. Fantastic. Patrick. Oh, sorry. Jeff, you?
321. And 543.
543. Fantastic. And then we have Patrick as well. Give me two numbers.
76.
And
739.
739. I'm going to say 101, and I'm going to say, let's do 720, so they get somebody who registered late, still give them a chance. And then basically, I have one more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So these are like basically people who will win a Frame.io license and a training. And then one more number for the trial for the Eclipse. Jeff, you can do that. Give us a number. Who's going to win the trial for the Eclipse?
554.
554. This is the Eclipse. Amazing. Guys, I can't thank you enough. First of all, for taking your time and doing this. Michael, you're brilliant as always. I mean, I can't believe what you're doing. This is just so good. Keep pushing it, Michael. We're all going to benefit from it. And, you know, I hope there's going to be an award, lifetime achievement one day for everything you did for this industry. So I honestly can't thank you enough. You know, this is so fantastic. And I hope that next time you have something as interesting as this, we can have you again of one of these meetups. It would be such an honor to host you. Patrick, thank you for doing a great job for editing and doing everything for us. Jay-Z, keep us posted. We're going to totally support, you know, your next presentation. I want to let everybody know when you're doing that, and especially want to let people know when they can download some of that footage that they can play with it. And Jeff, so happy to see you doing so well and that you got yourself sorted. I think this is so great. I mean, last time you were our guest, you were talking about sitting somewhere in the middle of the nowhere in a mountain and grading with the two Mexican guys in a trailer. It was a revenant though, so. But look at you now. Now you're like much sorted. And yeah, everybody else, thank you guys. I hope you're benefiting from this. Let us know how you liked it. Let us know if there is anything that we can do better and what would you like to hear, and if there is anything that, you know, we can do to help you with this. I think we're doing the best we can, you know, putting together these things. We will probably be back in a week or two again. And thank you for joining, because if you wouldn't be, you know, joining, we wouldn't be doing it. And I hope, you know, it's just a small help for all of us in this kind of little bit challenging period. But I'm sure we're going to go through it and everything's going to be fine at the end. On that positive note, thank you all. Thank you for being part of it. And I see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Bye. 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 Bye.